Today, we're diving into the future of accounting and a piece of tech that's supposed to transform everything, blockchain. But as we're about to see, the success of any new technology isn't really about its power, it's all about the people you're asking to use it.
I mean, we've all seen it happen, right? A supposedly game-changing technology comes along. Some stick around, others just fizzle out. And the ones that make it aren't always the most powerful. They're the ones we, actual humans, decide to get behind. So what's the secret sauce? What really convinces us to say yes to something new?
For accountants, that big something new is definitely blockchain. And on paper, the promise is, well, it's huge. We're talking about a secure, totally transparent, unchangeable record book. This could be a game changer for cutting down on fraud and all that creative accounting that can mislead people. It's a potential revolution for sure.
But a promise is just a promise until people actually use the thing. So to really get to the bottom of this whole human adoption puzzle, we're going to dig into this really fascinating study that went right to the source, accountants on the front lines in Jordan.
Now, if you want to figure out what makes people tick, you need data. And for this research, the whole story really kicks off with just one number, 346.
Yep, that's 346 accountants working at IT firms in Jordan. And this group is, well, they're kind of the perfect test case. They're already living at that crossroads of finance and technology. So they're the absolute best people to ask, hey, what would it really take to get you to start using blockchain every single day?
Okay, so to get some real, meaningful answers, the researchers didn't just ask a bunch of random questions. They used a well-established scientific model, a framework specifically designed to decode why we say yes or no to new tech.
It's called UTOUT. Big name, I know. The Unified Theory of Acceptance and Use of Technology. But you can really just think of it as a secret decoder ring for our brains. It breaks down that big, messy question of, should I actually use this, into a few core things we're all weighing, whether we realize it or not.
So what are those core things? UTOUT basically boils it down to three fundamental questions. First, is this new gadget or software actually going to make me better at my job? That's performance expectation. Second, is this thing going to be a total nightmare to learn and use? That's effort expectation. And finally, number three, what's everyone else doing? Is my boss on board? Are my colleagues using it? And that, of course, is social influence.
Now here's where it gets really cool. The researchers took this basic model and kind of beefed it up for this specific study. Don't worry about all the lines and boxes on this diagram. The key thing to see is that they added extra factors, like our trust in the technology, how relevant it is to our job, and even just our general confidence with computers.
All right, so the stage is set. We have our data, we have our framework, so what's the verdict? What really convinces an accountant to start using blockchain?
Well, the numbers tell a very, very clear story. I know this chart looks a little complicated, but you only need to look at one thing. Just follow the arrow that goes from effort expectancy to adoption. You see that t-value of 13.315? In statistics, that is a massive signal. It is by far the loudest voice in the room.
This brings us right to the study's main conclusion. In the researchers' own words, it was effort expectancy that impacted adoption the most. In plain English, the single biggest factor wasn't how revolutionary blockchain could be, it was simply how easy accountants believed it would be to use.
Let's frame this like a head-to-head competition. In one corner, you have the technology's raw power, the will it improve my work question. That's performance expectation. And in the other corner, you have its simplicity, the will it be easy to use question. That's effort expectation.
And the winner, by a landslide, was simplicity. This chart just makes it crystal clear. The impact score for effort expectancy was way, way higher than for performance expectancy. For these accountants, the perception of ease of use was just so much more persuasive than the promise of being better at their job.
Of course, it wasn't just about simplicity. Other factors did matter too. Things like trusting the technology to be secure, how well it could integrate with existing business tools, and yeah, that social pressure from peers and managers definitely played a part. But here's the surprising twist. One factor you'd think would be huge, compatibility with how people already work, it had no direct impact at all. The researchers think it might be because blockchain is just so new in this market that there's nothing to compare it to. It's a completely blank slate.
So let's zoom out. What's the big lesson here for all of us? It's that it's not just about what a technology does, it's about how it feels to the person who has to use it. That human experience can easily outweigh a long list of features.
And the story gets even more nuanced when you look closer. If we pull up that model again, you'll see some of these factors don't point directly to adoption. Take trust, for example. It works its magic indirectly by influencing other factors first.
Here's how that works. The study found that when an accountant trusts blockchain is secure and reliable, they're much more likely to believe it'll be easy to use. The same goes for people who are already confident with computers. And since we now know that easy-to-use feeling is the #1 driver, well, trust and confidence are basically just paving the way for adoption.
And that really is the crucial point here. For emerging tech, especially in markets where it's brand new, just selling its raw power isn't enough. Making that tech feel approachable, intuitive, and just plain usable is a much more powerful way to persuade people.
And that leaves us with a final thought. And it really applies to any industry. The next time you have to roll out a new technology, are you going to be selling its long list of features, or are you going to focus on showing people just how simple and effortless you've made it for them to actually get started?